Let's go for a walk.
Yeah, let's go for a walk.
Whoa!
What is that, Andrea?
It's some sort of watch.
It's like when you like hypnotize people. Yes.
Follow the watch. You're getting sleepy. Close your eyes. When you hear the word ice cream, you will become a talk show host. When you hear the phrase, ya dingus, you will come out of your trance. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, you guys, why don't we go get some ice cream?
Good. That sounds really good.
Hello, viewers everywhere, and welcome to tonight's show of Four Gals on a Ledge. The date is May 14th, 2037, and tonight we are sponsored by our very own President of the United States, President Nicolas Cage. I'm Babe Barker, and tonight's show is very special because tonight is everyone's favorite Decades Night. We traveled back in time to get our contestants. Let's go meet them.
First up, our contestant from the 1960s.
I'm Charlotte, and I'm just a simple suburban girl from Rochester, New York. And, well, I guess you would consider my family to be perfect because I have 2 parents and then my older brother. And then I have a dog named Spot, and he's the cutest thing since sliced bread.
So, Charlotte, we're going to ask you a few questions about your era to familiarize our viewers.
The 60s?
Yeah. Oh. Okay. Did TV in the 1960s help JFK win?
Well, I would say that it did because, well, people in the 60s didn't really pay attention to content that much, even though they probably should have. But JFK was more like attractive to the public eye.
What events in the 1960s had the greatest impact on American culture?
Well, the election of JFK and the Civil Rights Movement with Martin Luther King Jr., the landing on the moon in 1969, and my personal favorite, the James Bond movie started to come out, and I would not mind being a Bond girl.
So, what was your favorite 1960s television show?
Well, I don't really watch television that much, but when I do, and only when I do, I love the Brady Bunch, as well as, Batman, and I Love Lucy, and the Addams Family, just to name a few. And that's only when I have time. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So what was your favorite film in the 1960s?
It would be a tie between Breakfast at Tiffany's, Mary Poppins, and The Sound of Music.
So, what kind of music do you usually listen to?
Well, everyone's all like hyped up about the Beatles, and I actually personally really enjoy the Beach Boys. I don't understand what the fuss about is with the Beatles. I mean, the Beach Boys' music is better, and they're a lot cuter, so.
Some people I know back home will fight you on that one, but that's alright. Moving on. Did you watch Neil Armstrong land on the moon?
Of course, everybody who had a television did. Even the people who didn't found one and watched it. It was neato. It really was.
Now let's go forward a decade and meet our contestant from the 70s.
Hey bro, I'm Rain. I ran away from home one day. I used to love drugs. So, I'm just living life, you know. That's how it goes.
Okay, Rain, we're going to ask you a few questions so the viewers can familiarize themselves with you. All right. What was your reaction to the Watergate scandal? Do you believe that Richard Nixon's cover-up overshadowed his foreign policy accomplishments with China and the Soviet Union?
Yeah, man. Nixon really screwed things up. Like, you can't trust the government. It's a conspiracy. Like, he may have, tried to stop Cold War stuff with, that whole detente thing. But with all this scandal, how do we know he really did anything? Like, he could have just made it worse. Stop the war!
In your opinion, what event or events about the 1970s had the greatest impact on American culture?
Well, bro, like we talked about, the whole Watergate thing, it messed us up. And then there was that whole, OPEC crisis, and that just sucked. There's also that, Iran hostage crisis, and that just, Carter screwed us over.
What type of music did you listen to in the 1970s?
Well, Bob Dylan had it going on, bro. The Knack was pretty chill. But Lennon, he was my main man. Don't tell the others or I'll lose my cred. He's too mainstream, dude.
What was your favorite film in the 1970s?
Grease. That music was super groovy, bro. Summer days drifting away.
What was your favorite 1970s television show?
Television. Really like All in the Family, man. They talk about important things that we Pippies stand for. Peacefully, of course. Dude.
And now let's meet our third contestant from the 80s.
My name's Jennifer, but my friends get to call me Jenny. I guess you can too if you want. Like, I'm from Napa Valley, Cali, and oh, my dad's a yuppie, and I love to work out. Like, it's my life.
So, Jenny, we're gonna ask you a few questions. Do you mind?
Sure, go for it.
Are you just... Okay, alright. Did you support President Ronald Reagan's policies of pursuing the Strategic Defense Initiative, or Star Wars, to confront Soviet communism in the 1980s, in your decade?
Yes, I totally supported his plan for Star Wars. Like, I mean, anything to stop the communist spread. It's totally worth it.
So, then, in your opinion, what events in the 1980s had the greatest impact on American culture?
Probably the government scandal, like, really bothered me. Like, why would they do that to Americans? Like, seriously, gag me with a spoon. And, like, you know that one plan, like, the Iran-Contra? Like, oh my gosh, it was horrible. Like, really.
Alright, that was a lot of likes, so moving on. We are gonna ask you, what was your favorite television show?
Oh, my favorite television show was Saved by the Bell because it dealt with a bunch of social issues, like drug use and like all that really horrible stuff. And oh my gosh, it was so funny, like really.
What was your favorite film in the 1980s?
My favorite film? Like, my favorite film was Star Trek. Like, it was so awesome dealing with, like, the Star Wars and Star Trek. Like, it was, oh, man. I learned so much about space. Like, oh my gosh, it's huge.
And now for our final contestant, we've traveled to the late 90s.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there. My name is Hillary, and I'm from Africa. I live in Rhode Island, and I'm 17 years old. Hi! We're going to start off by asking you a few questions to familiarize you with our viewers back home, alright? So, the big question everyone wants answered is, Clinton or Bush? Well, I was 5, but if I could have voted, it would definitely have been for Clinton. I heard he was a lot more attractive. Well, what do you think about the tarnished presidency? Well, I mean, he took advantage of a woman. And speaking for women everywhere, I don't think that's right. And yeah, maybe we don't know the entire story, but if you ask me, I think men in high positions of power should have morals. So another question is, Gore or Bush? Well, again, not voting age, but if I could have voted... Wait a second, you can't ask me political questions. I have rights. But I guess if I had to say, I'd say Gore because, you know, he cares about the environment. I mean, green is totally fetch. So, was President George W. Bush justified in sending troops into Afghanistan in Operation Enduring Freedom in 2001? Well, I mean, we do need freedom. It's kind of important, but... And again, did they really do anything? I mean, honestly, we should be going after terrorists, not Afghanistan. I mean, gosh, we should focus on terrorists! So, finally, in 2003, was the United States and British offensive against Iraq justified as part of President George W. Bush's goal of fighting a war on terror? Didn't you just ask me that? No? Okay.
Well, I mean, I guess it's the same thing again. We thought they had WMDs, like weapons of mass destruction, and they didn't, so. Are you really asking me about the government? Again, I have political rights. You can call my lawyer.
Aren't they just fascinating? So here's how 4 Gals on a Ledge works. So there are 3 rounds. Each gal gets 1 question per round. And once you get the 1 question wrong, off the ledge you go. One of those 4 gals will get very wet.